This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of July 6th, 2022. I'm Alex Brown. NXG Youth Motorsports in Indianapolis, which launched in 2006, uses go-karting to give young people in underrepresented communities an opportunity to learn not only STEM applications, but also life skills and potential careers in motorsports. President Rod Reed.
And the whole idea is that you don't have to be a daredevil to be a race car driver. You just have to be a good mathematician and sometimes and maybe a good scientist. And at the same time, just a good thinker, which are those skills are transferable to our lives.
The nonprofit also just completed its second series of events in Michigan. The Michigan-based Pokagon Band of Potawatomi has opened a new recruitment center in South Bend as it begins to hire hundreds of workers for the expanded Four Winds Casino and Hotel that is currently under construction. The casino resort will create 350 to 400 new jobs once the hotel opens in early 2023. A more than 130-year-old building in Indianapolis will be getting new life as a co-working space. Officials from the Polk Group have broken ground on the restoration of Polk Stables, which will become the newest co-hatch location that will house artist studios, a makerspace, and co-working offices. Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand is made possible by the following.
IBJ Media delivers business news covering Central Indiana and the entire state. The Indianapolis Business Journal and Inside Indiana Business are now part of the same family. Look to the IBJ for in-depth coverage of Central Indiana's business community and tap into Inside Indiana Business for stories that extend throughout Indiana. 2 resources, unlimited business insights that help you stay informed and get ahead. Learn more at ibj.com and insideindianabusiness.com.
Facing steep increases in food production costs, Indiana farmers warn that consumers are likely to see continued price jumps at stores later this year. Here's Gary Dick.
Surging fuel costs, along with higher prices for seed, packaging, animal feed, and fertilizer, have meant every pass across a field is more expensive. That according to Andy Tower, Executive Director of Public Policy for the Indiana Farm Bureau. He says the main drivers of the increases stem from inflation, global supply chain issues, and lingering disruptions brought on by COVID-19. Because farmers rely heavily on diesel-powered machinery and semi-truck transportation, David Harden, who manages Harden Farms near Danville, says rising fuel costs have become a significant out-of-pocket expense. The Consumer Price Index rose 8.6% in May compared to a year ago, that according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Over that time, food prices jumped 10.1%. Still, the Indiana Farm Bureau notes that food prices in the Hoosier State have remained slightly lower than the U.S. and Midwest averages. This is Gary Dick for Inside Indiana Business Radio.
The Morris Performing Arts Center in downtown South Bend is celebrating its centennial this year with a multi-million-dollar facelift. The organization held a ceremonial groundbreaking today to launch the 3-month-long project. The South Bend Venues, Parks, and Arts Department says the 100-year-old venue will undergo approximately $9 million in upgrades in this phase of the renovation. The work includes an overhaul of major mechanicals, a new roof, plus new seats and carpeting. The city says this is the first phase in a series of planned projects over the next few years, which will ultimately include an expansion of the building and the addition of a parking garage. Central Indiana Corporate Partnership President and Chief Executive Officer David Johnson says there are still things he wants to accomplish before he retires in December to further strengthen the state's key economic drivers, including the life sciences and ag bioscience sectors, which he says have advanced dramatically over the last 2 decades.
We knew we had one of the top 10 rated in terms of jobs and numbers of companies, sectors in the country, but no one else did. And so what BioCrossroads did was to organize that, to figure out opportunities like OrthoWorks or the Indiana Health Information Exchange or the Indiana Biosciences Research Institute or even 16 Tech. AgriNovus itself came as a BioCrossroads project. So it sparked a number of good projects. But most of all, it gave everybody a sense of who we are and what we could do.
With Johnson's departure at the end of this year, the CICP is reorganizing its leadership structure. The roles of president and CEO will be divided into 2. The partnership has hired an executive consulting firm to lead the search for the next CEO. Mark Lauder is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.